having you on the other side of the radio as we, have conversations for development. Remember, the open season will come immediately after the major news at 6. But right now, let's focus on the matter at hand. And what is it? Now, sometime last week, I believe it was, we saw the FCT minister, Yesom Ezenwo-Wike, talk about building houses, for the judiciary members, justices of, the judiciary. And that has courted a lot of reactions. But we've argued, based on the Constitution and what the law says, right? And we've tried to understand why. Because a lot of Nigerians have said, oh, that is tainting the judiciary in the bad light. It's like a gift that the giver expects something in return. And so to have this conversation further, I want to, bring Serap into the discourse, because Serap has also given an ultimatum to the federal government to reverse, the gifts, house gifts, car gifts. And I'll be discussing with Serap why they have decided to tour that path and what is supposed to be the right, path to take. Is it, because some would say, oh, we've got three arms of government. We've got the executive arm of government. We've got the legislative arm, and we've got the judicial arm. The executive is supposed to execute projects, isn't it? Could this be them executing projects on behalf of all arms of government? Some people have argued in that stead as well. Okay, so we'll hear from the Deputy Director, Serap. On the show is with me via the phone. I'm talking about Kolawale Oluwadare. Kolawale Oluwadare, welcome. By the way, he's a lawyer, is a program manager as well, and is with me on the show. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Clara.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this opportunity.
All right. So why is Serap? That's like the most basic question. Why is Serap kicking against this move to build houses for judges and justices? Do you think they don't deserve it? What is what is the matter with it?
Thank you very much. And I think first and foremost, we need to establish that this is not about Mr. Wiki. This is simply about the constitutionality of what has gone on for too long. That is the practice of the executive buying targets and houses for the judiciary. And simply put, it's about the principle of the rule of law, separation of powers, checks and balances, which all culminate in a functional and effective democracy. That is what these advocacy is about. And it's not new either from Serap or from other stakeholders who have weighed in on this matter, right from 1999 when we started these round of democracy. There is no way to look at it, whether in terms of the legal perspective, and in terms of logical morality, that these actions, it doesn't help anyone. Only for those who might have a motive in doing those things.
Okay, you are a lawyer. Is it against the Constitution? Does this flout any laws of the land?
And to give a bit of an historical perspective, you remember in 2020 that the movement, judiciary workers union in India, at the end of the strike, if you recall, it was about judicial, what they call autonomy. And autonomy in that sense is the freedom from political influence and the financial autonomy that they wanted at the time. And don't forget, then the law was clear, and as it was clear, the issue has been that the practice, the practical aspect of what happens is different from what the law has stipulated. And without going into the legalese of the provisions of the Constitution, the section of the Constitution that deals with these is section 121 and section 81 of the Constitution. And in that instance, as was argued and fought for by Juson there in 2020, which also resulted in the fifth alteration of the Constitution, the aim is to ensure that any fault, any amount that is due to the judiciary as a third arm of government is a charge upon the Consolidated Revenue Fund, and it should go directly to the head of the judiciary, in this instance, federal judiciary, to the National Judicial Council, from where it goes to the heads of court. What I've simply summarized is the provisions of section 121 of the Constitution. And that would mean, in practical terms, that when the budget is being drawn up annually, the three arms of government get what is due to them, including the legislature. So, to give you an example, what happens in the legislature, in the federal legislature, in the National Assembly is that there is a vote, there is a bulk funds that is allocated to the National Assembly that goes to the National Assembly Service Commission. That is for the National Assembly. The executive gets its own through the various arms of the executive, including the one made for, set apart for the presidency. And so the one that goes to the judiciary also goes to the National Judicial Council. And don't forget, parliamentary budgeting. A budget is an expenditure that contains two basic lines of expenditure: recurrent expenditure and capital expenditure. Recurrent expenditure contains salaries and allowances of judges, while capital expenditure will contain other things like infrastructure and and that is why, and you would understand the reason why the drafted section 121 knew what they were doing. It is in furtherance of the principle of separation of powers, so that the executive will not have undue influence over the judiciary or the legislature, and everybody will be able to hold one another in check. That is why section 121 was crafted as such. That would mean to infer that if judges need cars, it shouldn't come from the executive, because the judiciary has a budget that has a recurrent expenditure and a capital expenditure. And so when a minister or a governor, and I think I preface this by saying this about Mr. Wiki, this happens also at the state level, where a governor belongs back to the government, we see time and again. Number one, it is made to appear like a gift when it shouldn't be a gift. These are judicial officers who are serving the state. Their payments in terms of allowances and other things they're entitled to, including cars and houses, should form part of their remuneration. Okay. And so when the executive, through the governor or minister, does that, it is an undue influence on their ability to do their job objectively.
Okay, so now let's come to the judiciary now. I mean, these people are elite people who interpret the law of the laws of the land. Are they supposed, or are they not supposed to know that they are meant to be in charge of their finances? And if they are not supposed to interpret the laws so the executive can obey? Because, I mean, if you explain it the way you have, why is the judiciary accepting these gifts from the various executives, be it at the federal or the state levels, or even at the local government level?
The judiciary will be in a better position to answer this question. Really, it's a question that we have also asked ourselves. This is not the first time. I actually know that President Buhari issued the executive order 10, 2020 to give effect to this same thing we are advocating about. So why judges accept this? I think perhaps Nigerians should continue this advocacy to make the judicial officers answer the question. Every answer I give will be speculation of what I think is written. And in this instance, we're talking about motive. The fact that they accept this gift is clear. They do. The motive behind it, I do not know. But don't forget, if there is a budget for them to have cars, why are the cars not coming from their budget? Why is it being bought by the executive? And then why are they collecting it? I really do not know. But what we know as Nigerians is that in collecting and accepting those gifts, it impugns on the ability of the judiciary to be objective, and it also damages the perception of the judiciary in the eyes of the community. And there is a phrase that is said in law, that justice must not only be done, it must be seen to have been done. And when it says seen to have been done, the society, everybody from the poor to the rich must see and agree with the court that justice has been done. In this instance, when the average Nigerian sees the governor buying cars for the judges, what does that suggest? And don't forget, these governors, in some instances in the executive capacity or through the agencies of the state, also appear before the same courts for adjudication of matters. So in the instance of Mr. Wiki, he even said it, that he got the land from Julius Berger and intends to build buildings for members of the judge. At the end, it looks like a good thing. But perhaps, and in line what Mr. Wiki said, he didn't go to the right due process to get that land from Julius Berger. If the Berger wants to go to court to challenge how that land was reallocated, where will that put the file before the thing goes? who have now become beneficiaries of what would have been termed as an illegality for what has been done in the jurisdiction. And so that in itself sets up those courts to be seen as being impartial. To underscore this is to let Nigerians know that the Constitution has seen these as something that could happen. And that is Section 81 that applies to the state have made those provisions.
Okay. Let me come in now. And it's a question still focusing on objectivity or impartiality of the court. Usually this comes to play when we talk about politics, right? But before we even get to the politics, how can Nigerians or how can all of these be reversed? Because like you've said, if this matter was to be taken to the court, it is still the same court or judges or justices who are recipients of these gifts that will preside over, court sessions. So how do we resolve this matter? Still focusing on objectivity before we get to the political aspect of it.
Thank you. And that is why the purpose of the advocacy of this nature that Serap engages in from time to time, which I appreciate opportunities to have conversations like this, is true. This is a public interest matter that might resort to litigation, as I mentioned, if the president and the attorney does not do the right thing, that is by Serap. And it also means that the people understand the issues and they are able to continue the advocacy and to own it. Serap is just a non-governmental organization. And then ultimately, this conversation is meant to educate and enlighten so that people can continue to talk about it and prevail on those who these concerns until the right thing is done. And to state it there categorically, if Mr. President and the Attorney General of the Federation does not eat the call that Serap has made in his letters to these two public officers, we will go to. And perhaps you would ask, as you hinted already, what are our chances, given the fact that we will send judges who will adjudicate on these matters. We believe in the sanctity of the judiciary, and that is why we submit these matters to court. Because this is also in the interest of the judges. Again, they must not only be impartial, they must be seen by the people to be impartial. And it's really be interesting to see a judge rule against Serap and the Nigerian people in this instance. I really find it difficult that it's going to turn out.
You say you believe in a sanctity, but a lot of Nigerians have dragged the judiciary in the mud. Do they really, what's the word now? Are they really impartial? Do they really, still service the hope of the common man? Are they still blind? I'm talking the judiciary now.
So in answering this question, you would know that I'm a lawyer. So the bar, my constituency. If I do not believe in the sanctity of the judiciary, then why am I doing what I'm doing as a lawyer? Anything else than what we do in Serap would lead to anarchy and the breakdown of law and order, and that is not the aim. So there are instances, and I do agree there are instances that suggest that the judiciary has not been impartial. But Serap also had a track record of agreeing with Serap and the Nigerian people and giving judgments in favor of Serap. So why not in this instance?
All right. So I'm sorry. I'm going to pause you. I do have a commercial, for about 4 minutes. When we come back, we'll continue with the conversation. Please just stay on the line. All right. Thank you.
For more talk,
Several ransom payments. Stakeholders react to appeal court special panel on Rivers political crisis. Newly sworn in Edo State Governor Kwegbolo sets out agenda. President Tinubu departs Riyadh, Saudi Arabia today. Former President Obasanjo visits Ondo Governor Ayedatiwa ahead of governorship election. On the foreign scene, dozens killed after car rammed into crowd in China. Details in the 6 p.m. bulletin. Now, back to the conversation.
This is Hard Facts.
All right, it is the bottom of the hour. Yes, you're still listening to Hard Facts in 92.3 Nigeria Info. And with me on the show via the phone is the Deputy Director, Serap, Kolawale Oluwadare. It's good to have you on the show. Kolawale Oluwadare is a lawyer. Can you hear me? Good afternoon, if you can hear me.
Yeah, good afternoon. I can hear you.
All right then. So before we went in for the break, we're looking at objectivity of the court, and I was staying on the impartiality of the judiciary in the country. I mean, there was the data of 2017, I believe, where it ranked the judiciary as one of the most corrupt institutions, government institutions in the country. And you were trying to tell us that it is your constituency and that there is still that belief that the judiciary is still the common, or the hope for the common man. Could you expatiate on that? How is it still, because a lot of Nigerians, like I've said, on social media are dragging the judiciary in the mud?
So, when I say that it is still the hope of the common man, we are a legal advocacy organization, and we use public interest litigation as one of the tools that we use to promote and protect the human rights of Nigerians, including holding government to account. So you would understand, no matter the challenges that we've seen in the judiciary, we do not have an alternative. Any other alternative to resolving issues after the judiciary, you would agree with me, will not only be unlawful, but will have negative consequences. And I do agree with you that there are issues with our judiciary in terms of the rulings and the orders and the perception of the judiciary by the common man, which perhaps the judiciary has not done enough to make sure that that perspective is correct. I have cited this example twice, and I'll say it the third time. There is a margin in law that says that justice must not only be done, it must be seen to have been done. And that is one of the areas the judiciary needs to work. But we really have no alternative than to submit these matters to court. What is the alternative? Anarchy, breakdown of law and order, of course. And I'm saying this on behalf of Serap now to say that we will continue to submit issues to the court. And I have proof to show that this actually works. Among the many cases we've filed in court, however slow it has been, we've had a lot of instances where the courts have agreed with us and given judgment in our favor, even though most of them hasn't been enforced. But that shows that we still have people on the bench who are willing to rule in favor of the Nigerians.
Okay, let's come to the political perspective or angle, when we were talking about gifts to judges. Nyesom Wike, Estate Minister, while he was River State Governor, also, did something similar here in the state. And a lot of people in River State, if I wouldn't say majority, but a lot of people would argue, and say stuff like, the judiciary dances to the tune of, the FCT minister. So I want to ask, since we're talking about objectivity and impartiality, do you think this has got anything to do with the politics that will be played 2027?
Be necessarily so. I may not be able to speak as to the full motive from Mr. Wike, some of the governments. But what I do know is this gift can never mean well in terms of the effect on the judiciary.
Okay.
As to what it portends in the reality and how the people see it, no matter how well intentioned they may be. So if Mr. Wike and the governors, if their counter argument, and I'm yet to hear from, if their counter argument is that they mean well, it's for the interest of the members of the judiciary, let them say it. But the point Serap has made and will continue to make against such arguments is that it doesn't look good. No matter how we look at it, it doesn't look good. Let's say 2024, or whatever happened in 2025, or whatever happened in between in the off-cycle elections, This cannot mean well. The judiciary must be free. It must be seen to be free. And the workings of the judiciary, including in this instance, the welfare of the judiciary, must be seen to be objectively done. Like I told you, the constitution has provided for funds that is meant to the judiciary to go to the judiciary. Why are governors and Mr. Wike buying cars or building houses for the judiciary?
All right, let's listen to some callers, and then we would have you, summarize on the conversation in about 5-10 minutes. So, but let's go to the phone lines now. 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, and 0817 923 0007. Those are the call numbers. WhatsApp numbers 0809 030 6416. Let's see. Melody Uniport says building of houses for judges is a silent bribe. The principle of rule of laws and separation of powers by A.V. Dicey and Baron Montesquieu advocated that judges are funded from a consolidated fund where budgets are received and controlled independently without executive interference. Okay, I've got Susie from Alakai. Susie, let's get your thoughts and let's talk for development now.
Yeah, I just have a question for your guest.
Okay.
I love when he talked about the issue concerning the fund generated from the consolidated revenue, how the judiciary ought to have their own money given to them directly and not the executive buying cars and building houses for them. And he started since 1999. This agitation has been there and all of that. I want to ask him, hence that autonomy of the judiciary has not been achieved, and then the bureaucracy within which the executive wires so much power and have to do infrastructures and all of that, paying judges' salary and all of that. How would you want to, by this time around, want to stop that particular effect? Because the judiciary itself hasn't gotten that particular autonomy. So are you saying that the autonomy should just come by this your action or eyebrow? Or what do you intend to explain to people? What are you trying to
Susie, I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to answer for him. But if you listen to the conversation, you must have, Susie. I'm going somewhere. Susie. You must have heard him say that in the Constitution they are supposed to have autonomy. You heard, but he said in practical it is not so. So he's saying that the Constitution should be obeyed. I mean, that should be it, I guess.
That's what I'm asking. I'm asking you. The question I raise is, hence that autonomy as provided by the Constitution or whatsoever has not been achieved. The eyebrow they are raising now, the building and the structure as it is now that we came, or the federal government is building structure, what they intend to achieve, is it that they are now bringing that autonomy by federal brigade approach, hence the Constitution has said it, or that the building should not be given to the judges, or that the judges does not need the building because of the fact that they cannot actually do what they ought to do because of the fact that the federal government and Serap has filed so many suits against the federal government over time. Is it that they've not won any case?
But you heard him say they have won several cases. You heard him say that, right, Susie? That they won several cases. But anyways, I've gotten your question. I'm going to Matthew now. Matthew is calling from Port Harcourt Township. Matthew, welcome. What is on your mind?
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, I greet you.
My name is Matthew Kalio. Told me, yes, over time, governors and self-government officials building houses, buying expensive SUV cars for judges and senior members of the bar. To me, it's not just a silent bribe, it's an open one. So that whenever your matter gets to any court, my God, it is just trash within an hour and in your favor. No matter how ugly, no matter how twisted that matter is. The case of the former governor of Rivers State is a living example now. There are matters that even the blind man can see. There are some situations that will be made, but that the blind man too will see it. The man that is there for years can hear certain matters. So that the judiciary, to me, should not be rubbished.
All right. All right.
Judiciary is one arm that I respect so much.
Machi, I've got to
People
go.
cajoling them, making all sorts of comments against them. It's not too good. The judiciary should be a very respected institution and should be held in high esteem. Thank you.
Machi, thank you. I've got Gift from Yenigua. Gift, welcome. What is on your mind, please?
Kalaga, thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, quickly,
Let
please.
me just go straight to the point. I disagree with your guest, and I don't take his own organization seriously. You know why? There are some certain things you'll be hearing that will make you to even laugh or cry. You mentioned the name Wike. As I speak with you right now, order 1, order 2, injunction this, injunction that, with all the houses and all the things he did for the judiciary that other governors refused to do for these persons, punished them outrightly, locked down even the courts. As I speak with you, that man won any case in River State with all these things he did. Who will bribe? Will bribe? Canada, individuals that are businessmen, that are well-to-do, according to allegations I've not seen myself, people go through that is quiet time when the dark hour.
So in summary, what you're saying is it's not a bribe. It's just for the judiciary, and it's not a bribe.
What they are crying about, as far as I'm concerned, is a lie because of Wike. You complain from now till tomorrow. They only mention the names of governors. It is because of Wike. And that very place, let me tell you, according to the law, he talked about.
All right, Gift, I've got to go. I wanted. I've got to go. Thank you very much. I've got Benson from Obagi. Benson, welcome. What is on your mind?
Yes. Good evening, Canada.
Welcome.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, quickly. Your time is reading. Yeah, straight to the point.
Yeah, Canada. You see what we are talking about. Wike has been noted for this kind of giving out buildings and cars to judges. And it is a practice he has been practicing in River State before. And he took it back to Abuja. And that is pure bribe. Then that is why every time you want, every cases in River State, they will run to Abuja. Because they know that Wike and those judges there are working together.
And that's an allegation. That is an allegation. Benson, that is an only the NJC can. Benson. Anyways, moving on. So let's come back to you, Kolawale Oluwadare. You've had some of the contributors. There's this one on WhatsApp that says the judges. It's usually like that, very, very, very much aggressive like that sometimes. But this one says the judges of the River State High Courts that have given many black market orders, injunctions, and judgment against Wike's interests are living in similar houses built by Wike when he was governor of River State. Therefore, the fears of bias or impartiality is baseless. Please, what do you make of this? In 120 seconds.
Thank you, Parliament. I said at the inception, this is not about Mr. Wiki. I wouldn't want this kind of conversation to get bogged down in politics. This is not politics.
Yeah.
This is about the rule of law and separation of power.
Okay.
Why? Okay, I'm still answering the question simply. When the National Assembly wants to buy cars like they do every time and we cry about it, who's buying those cars? And the president?
No. The National Assembly.
Let's see, they're right. The governor or the minister buy it for the judges. It's just as simple, really.
All right. What are your final thoughts? Because we're out of time. Let's get your final thoughts. What's the way forward?
The aim for conversations like these is that the people own this advocacy, devoid of pride, politics, and religion. And I think that picture is one of the conversation, and that is fine. This advocacy is about good governance. Nigerians should own it, knowing fully well that we are also beneficiaries.
All right.
Because the thing, we won't have these cases, we'll have cases for these judges.
All right.
And then we understand what we're talking about.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. It's always a pleasure having a conversation with you. All right. Keep listening to 92.3 Nigerian for conversations continue. But first, we do have a commercial. Do stay tuned.